Hi everyone, it's Jules and welcome to Jules Reads. Today is Sunday, March 24th, 2024. It's snowing outside here in Minnesota. We are getting a snowstorm. We might get a foot of snow, which is basically the first snowstorm we've had all winter long, which is weird. So in these videos, I like to update you weekly on what I finished reading, what I'm currently reading, what I want to read, some personal plans we might have done this week, some personal plans coming up in this next week, books I might have bought this week, and then also what I watched on TV and movies. I like to talk about movies and TV as well. Let's get started. Probably the biggest update for me personally, and I just want to kind of high level talk about it just because it's where I've been for the last month. A month ago we got a call that my mom, she was feeling really sick and she wanted us to come pick her up. They live in Iowa. And we picked them up and took her to the hospital, and a very, very long story short is she has terminal stage 4 cancer. I am surprised I'm not crying as I'm saying this because I have been nonstop crying for a month. And my mom is my best friend. This is extremely challenging for us. I know this is very personal information, but I just like to share things about my life on this channel. And sometimes I think about this as a little my own journal where it's 5 years I could actually look back on this video and see what's going on in my life. See, now I'm gonna cry. So we ended up getting my parents moved in with us. They actually had 2 rental homes, so we had to, over the past month, move them out of their rental homes and move everything into our house. So it's been a lot of shuffling, a lot of moving, non-stop moving. This is the first weekend, so it's been it'll be a month tomorrow from when we got that phone call. And this is the first weekend I feel like I can do a few things for myself, which is really nice, which one of them is reading and working on my YouTube channel. So that is that, and I apologize if that was too personal for some people, but I like to talk about personal things. So let's get started. So what did I finish reading this week? The month I didn't read for at least 3 weeks, but I did end up finishing 2 things this week, so that is good. I finished Wool by Hugh Howey, and I learned about this book, which this book is, I think, published in 2012, but I learned about it from watching the TV show Silo on Apple TV, and I loved the TV show. I keep watching that show over and over, which was why I didn't have a problem buying the adaptation cover, is because I love the TV show so much. And this book, I did listen to it on audio and read it at the same time, somewhat, mostly audio. Really, really good. I believe the first season of Silo is maybe half of this book. And from what I'm researching or looking at, this book was originally 5 smaller books. So what do they call it? An omnibus? Omnibus? I don't know. I'm not smart enough for that word. And so I believe once he got more popular, they did put the books into 3. It's a trilogy. So this is the first one in the trilogy. And I really enjoyed this. It's a sci-fi, kind of dystopian. I don't even know if you call it sci-fi really. It's hard to explain, but it's in a world where you can't go outside because the air is toxic and poisonous. And so they ended up building, you don't know why or how that happened and how they built these, but they built these silos down into the ground like 100 stories deep. And there's a spiral staircase in the middle of it that they have to walk up and down to get to different levels. And I feel like part of this is about class, because it seems like the people on the upper level are the higher class and then the people on the lower level are the lower class. I don't know if that's really a thing, but that's what I was gathering. So the main character is Juliet. They call her Jules, which I love, and I really enjoyed this. When I watched the series, I was looking forward to what happens after, so this gave a glimpse into what goes on after. And I don't want to talk too much about it because there are spoilers. I just said a spoiler and told myself to edit it out. So really enjoyed this. I will continue on in the series, and I gave this 4.5 stars, I believe. It's either a 4 or 4.5 star for me. A 5-star for me is an all-time favorite book of all time. So the other book that I finished, which was a work read for work, and that is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It has a pretty foiled cover. And it's okay. I don't know. I didn't feel like there's anything groundbreaking in it to be so popular as it is. And there were some good little tidbits in there, but I told my husband, like, that could have been a pamphlet. I'm sorry if that's harsh. It was okay. And I did get a few little tidbits in it. I don't know if it's anything I will truly implement, but I had to read it for work, so there we go. And another thing to point out, since we did have to rearrange our whole house to get my parents moved in, you'll notice my background is different. So I lost my Book Nook that my husband had just made for me, but I do have some of the shelves that he made up there. So it's okay. Everything's fine. And he actually, what was my Book Nook, that's his closet now and his whole office. So that's never going to be mine again, but I'm okay with this. And I'm so glad that I have my parents here living with us that we can take care of them. All right, what am I currently reading? I'm currently reading 4 books, per usual. One of them for book club, and that is not how far I am. I'm probably about a third of the way through this. This is 1984, and by George Orwell. And then at Barnes & Noble yesterday, I actually got a 1984 bookmark. And so we are reading this for book club. I am listening to this on audio as well. I can't really talk too much about it. I'm just not that far in it. Great writing. I can see why it's so popular, and especially for the time, I can see how the concept and the idea was a little earth-shattering, but it is, I don't know, a little bit true to life in some ways about Big Brother and all of that. But I'm enjoying that. Something I started right before, about a month ago, and then it's completely stopped, but I did get about a third of the way through, is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name. And I'm really enjoying this. This is where you go to a coffee shop and you have, before your coffee gets cold, you have that much time to time travel, basically. You can't change anything, like the outcomes aren't going to change, but it does let you escape to maybe change some decisions that you made. But I'm not that far into it to know exactly the mechanics of it, but I'm liking it. It's a really easy, quick read, and I think there's 3 books in that series as well. I haven't jumped back into it since I started reading again this week. I wanted to read, I think it can be a little sad. That is one of the reasons. So I wanted to read some fun, goofy things. So a couple of the books I recently hauled, you'll see in my February book haul video, is Dead in Dublin. And this has a really goofy, funny cover that I just love. This is Katie Murphy. And I've only read like the first couple chapters, and right away in the first chapter, a woman dies, and the main character is the limousine driver, and she is American, but she's been living in Ireland for 3 years, and they think that she was poisoned or food poisoning from a restaurant. That's about all I know so far. But I think this limousine driver somewhat becomes a little bit of a sleuth or a detective, so that's really fun. And just the thing I was looking for. I picked this up in Barnes & Noble in February, and I just saw it and thought it looked fun. I don't typically buy mass market paperbacks, but it looked fun and was going to be my St. Patrick's Day read, but that didn't happen. We're doing it after. The other one I just started is the graphic novel Lock and Key. It's the first edition. This is a beautiful graphic novel. It's embossed. You can't really see it right there, and this is by Joe Hill, and then illustrated by Gabrielle Rodriguez. And this is so good. It is violent, so if you don't like that, you may not like this. If you've ever read Joe Hill before, you would probably like this. And there's a TV show. I'm going to start watching that tonight, I think. and I really like it. And it's about a family that has some tragedy that happens, and then they move to this big, huge house. I don't want to, like, right away, there's spoilers in the first kind of opening scene, but I'm really enjoying this, and I really like Joe Hill. So those are the books I'm currently reading. Lock and Key I could probably finish up today. What else? So yesterday, I hadn't bought any books this month, and yesterday I went to Barnes & Noble and had myself a little bit of a retail therapy time. So the first thing I got is really cool. It's not a book, but Barnes & Noble has the prettiest journals. So this is made in Italy, and I believe it's leather, and I just thought it was so pretty. I love notebooks and journals. I have another YouTube channel called Jules Journals where I mainly glue book, but I love this kind of stuff. I just keep them. If I find one that I fall in love with, I buy it, and I know I will use it eventually. My main journal that I keep is a 5-year journal where I write down just a few sentences from each day about what happened. Nothing serious, but over the years I have kept many, many different types of journals, but that's the one I stay true to the most. And then I did end up buying 4 books. So this one, So Late in the Day by Claire Keegan. I have her other 2 books right here. Those are Foster and Small Things Like These, which I both love. They were 2 of my favorites of 2023. So I imagine this will be the same. And her books are just little bitty books. Even the size as far as height is small. And she is an Irish author, and I love her books so much. The other one I got is The Body by Stephen King. I've been wanting to pick this up for forever. This is the short story, or it's more like a novella, that the movie Stand By Me is based on. And Stephen King, I actually just unhauled probably 20 of his books because they were ones that we had taken the dust jackets off of. They were hardcovers, and I want to recollect them with the dust jackets. I don't know why I took the dust jackets off. But this one I am excited to read. I love that movie. I loved it in the 80s, and I'm excited to read that one. And then this one I saw Emily Fox, I believe it was, talking about this author in a book that she was reading by this author. This isn't the one she was talking about, but it's called The 40 Rules of Love by Elif Shafak. And I looked up, it has amazing ratings on Goodreads. And yeah, I have never read anything by this author. I don't even know what it's about, but I'm excited to read that. And then this was totally a cover buy, random. Usually I buy things I know about, but this I did not know anything about. I literally saw this and saw that the other books kind of match it. And so I'm like, what is that book? It is The Feast of the Goat by Mario Vargas Llosa. And I looked up Goodreads, and it looked good ratings. It says it was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. I don't know what year that was. I don't even know anything about it. I think I opened it and it said something about the character being 49 years old, and that's my age. So I was like, oh, it's meant to be because she's my age. So there we go. A little book haul that was exciting, and I really enjoyed some retail therapy. What did I watch this week? So I hadn't been really watching anything either. I've spent 2 weeks, I think it was, basically at the hospital, and then just, blindly just going through YouTube because I had no attention span whatsoever. I was so exhausted. But the last 2 weeks have been a little better since my mom has been home. We've had our ups and downs, but I did finally start getting into watching some things this week, which feels a little bit more back to normal. Yesterday I watched The Dead Zone. It's Christopher Walken. I think it was in 1983. I don't know what streaming service, maybe Prime. I really enjoyed it. And it is based on a Stephen King novel or short story, I'm not sure. But I really enjoyed it. It's about a man who can kind of see he's a psychic, basically. And I really liked it. Christopher Walken, can't go wrong, right? And then my husband and I watched Roadhouse, the new one with Jake Gyllenhaal. It wasn't that good, but it was good to look at. I don't know. It was a good time. One of those things that took my mind off of things for a little bit. So would I recommend it? Probably not. But if you're in for just nonsense and chaos, then take a look. Plus Jake Gyllenhaal. And let's see. So the other thing I started watching, which I have the book, I just don't know where it's at. I have not read it. It's the Three Body Problem. Oh, it's right up there. And I have a mirror in front of me because this is kind of my vanity area as well. So I can see my books behind me, which is fun. But Three Body Problem, I started watching it on Netflix. And it's one of those things I'm like, I'm probably glad I'm not reading this because I'm not smart enough for that book. Barely the TV show. And I can only watch one episode at a time because it is intense. And half the time I'm like, WTF, what is happening? But it's good. I really like it. So I don't know if I'll ever read the book just because it's so complicated, but I'm enjoying the TV show. And then, let's see. I think the only other thing I've been kind of watching a lot of times I'll just put something on TV while I watch YouTube, and I started Orange is the New Black again, and I don't really necessarily like the main character, but I love all the side characters, and it is just a really good show. So I started watching that again. So that's been fun. I don't know if I've ever rewatched that show. A lot of shows I rewatch, but that's been fun as well. For plans, last week, the only thing we did was trivia. My husband and I, just him and I, and we came in third place out of 9 groups. So, just 2 people, some of the groups have 5 people on them. So we felt pretty good about that. We were in first place on they do it in halves. So page 1 and then you have the back half. And we were in first place on page 1, and then we just went downhill on page 2. But that was a good time, a good escape. And we love to play trivia, so we'll probably do that again this week. Other than that, no plans, just taking care of my folks and getting back to some routine and a little bit of normalcy as we can. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for watching.